In this session, we will see about service entitlements in uh, Oracle Fusion Cloud for managing the service requests. So using this service entitlements, so how we can achieve the milestones, and so all those steps we will see in this session. So the agenda is configuring service entitlements and using that service entitlements for milestones, and then we'll see a demo. So before starting, service entitlement. So service entitlements define the level of support for a customer is entitled to. So let's say we have some premium customers who are who really work with more with us. So in that case, we give uh, we give a preference to that customer to resolve their service requests or issues. So milestones are specific time-dependent steps or checkpoints within that support process. So let's say, uh, so we have, so how soon we will respond to that SR, how soon we can resolve that SR. So it defines that milestones will define that. It's a time-dependent process. It will give the due dates. It will give reminders. According to that, agent can work on that particular SR. So the due date or um, the milestone flags, etc., are predefined setups. So in Oracle Fusion Service, we have two milestones. First one is first response metric. Second one is resolution metric. So in addition to this, we can create the additional administrator defined milestones. So the objects related to service entitlement are uh, so the SR and so first so if we see this diagram, we can see entitlement. So this is a entitlement defines, so it's a commitment to handle that SR within certain timelines. So this will be implemented by milestones, and then we will create a coverage. So where in that coverage we will specify uh, the 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 resolution time, so and the first response time. Although all those things we will specify in coverage. Then this coverage will apply to the respective SRs. So if it is for a specific customer, it will apply to only those SRs. Otherwise, if it is a global, to all. It will assign to all. So global will be selected for all other SRs. If there is any specific customer defined, so then it will apply to only for that customer. And while calculating the due date, so it also considers the schedule. That means we can define our own calendar, we can define our time zones, shift timings. So let's say 8 a.m. to 5 a.m., 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Uh, so like that we can define the, and then we can exclude the holidays, weekends, etc. So the milestones will be calculated based on this predefined calendar. So these are the basic steps to configure the milestones. So first, we need to uh, create a milestone configuration using setup. So this will be start point. Then we need to set up standard coverage. Then we need to we need to use that coverage in task called default coverage, and then we need to run the process called monitor service request milestone. In the first step, um, when agent is so service request will be assigned to some agent, right? So as soon as SR gets created by any channel, so then so it will check for the it needs to be taken care within certain timelines, right? So the first thing agent need to do is they need to acknowledge that SR is created and agent is working on that. So that first response is first response metric milestone. So usually this will be some 2 hours or 3 years or 2 hours 3 years. So that agent will just respond to that SR saying we are looking into it, something like that. Okay. So next for resolution, they may take 2 days or 3 days. Depending on the SR type and the priority. Okay. So these are the two scenarios. So to create a milestone, we need to go to manage milestone configuration task, manage service milestone configuration task. And here we have two types of milestones, first response and then resolution. And then administrator defined. So this is in addition to this. So we will need to create. So but by default we get only first response and resolution. Then in standard coverage we will specify the time in minutes based on the condition. So what is the duration for which condition? So let's say we have a severity field. If severity is 1, we can specify uh, if severity is 1, we can specify like it needs to be taken care early, right? So we can give 1 hour as first response. If severity is 2, maybe we can it's less priority, so we give 2 hours. Okay, so that is 120 minutes. If its severity is 3, then we may give 4 hours also. So this value in standard coverage we need to give in minutes. So based on this dates, based on this minutes given in the standard coverage, the schedule, the calendar, so it will calculate and it will calculate the due date and it displays. And this is the coverage. So we can have different coverages. We can create different coverages, and based on the I mean the level of customers, right? So we can assign this coverage to a particular customer, or we can apply it to all customers. So to navigate or to configure the standard coverage, we need to go to subscription management, subscription configuration, and then entitlement management. Then we can go to the standard coverage. So for defining this coverage, uh, and now we are only using subscription management application. So earlier we have contract management application, so that is deprecated. I mean the contract management is now not being used for the entitlements. So though it is subscription management, only this service entitlements part will be will come with service fusion service subscription. So we don't need to take subscription management license additionally if we are just using for this entitlements. So the standard coverage page looks like this. So we will have the conditions. So based on severity and category name, uh, and then we will select the calendar, and then we'll input the first response metric, first response warning threshold, resolution metric, and these values with a start date and end date. So all these criterias or all these are will come with start date and end date. So so if you want to apply for a specific time period, we can use this start dates and it will apply only for that period. So once we define the standard coverage, so we need to use that coverage. So this is the example where we have global, and then we'll select the standard coverage. And if it's a specific for customer, so we will select that customer value and then the coverage that we defined specifically for that customer. So here customer means a particular account. So for that organization account, so we will create a separate template and then we will be using those values for entity for milestone calculation. Fourth one, fourth step is monitor service milestones process. So this checks for coverages that are applied to active SRs, and so based on the milestone due dates, so it checks the due dates, and then based on the one threshold values, it sets the warning flag and compliance flag. So here warning flag is if it is Y, then milestone is uh, it is time to expiration within the warning threshold applicable. That means uh, if we go to here we have first response threshold warning, right? So the total first response metric is 30 minutes, and in that first response warning threshold is 10 minutes. So this means before 10 minutes, uh, before 10 minutes of that milestone expiry, so it and then if we run this process, this warn flag will get updated to Y, so that based on this flag we can run a workflow and then we can send a reminder. So this is this service request uh, is reaching near to the expiry, so please take an action, something like that. We can send a reminder to agent to complete this SR. So compliance flag uh, is is updated to N when milestone reaches the due date. That means so it will be calculated some milestone date, right? Milestone due date. Let's say this is December 11, 9:43 a.m. is the due date. So once this due date is crossed, and then the process, the milestone process uh, got so once that process is ran, then and if no action taken still, then compliance flag will be set to no. Set to no. That means this SR is not followed, not yet completed, uh, so that it doesn't follow the compliance. And based on this flag, maybe we can send an escalation to manager uh, on this particular SR. So this is how milestones will be calculated. Now let me uh, take uh, will navigate to the system. So now I'll go to service request. Um, I'll create an SR. So these milestones are we can configure based on business units. So let's see this user has assigned to Supremo US business unit. So we'll configure for this business unit. So with the very first step, we need to go to setup and maintenance and service, and here service entitlements. So before this, we need to check once service offering is enabled. We need to check whether service entitlements is enabled or not. So once we come to the service entitlements, click on the change feature opt-in, and we need to enable uh, this task. So here there is a service entitlements, right? So this needs to be enabled, and you can also drill down further to see if there is any tasks inside. So this is available. So you manage service entitlement using subscription coverages. So we will be using subscription coverages only. So we need to enable this if not uh, if not enabled already. So once this prerequisite is checked, then we will go to the task. Now, so you can click on manage service milestone configuration task, and then so with Supremo US business unit, we have already two tasks. First task we need to check is first response metric. So when we click a new milestone here, if we create new milestone, so that time it asks the business unit. So you can select a particular business unit and create against that. So here you will need to give the milestone label and milestone type. Okay. So usually it will be first response metric or resolution metric. And then milestone type we need to select as can be reopened, can be repeated, cannot be cannot be repeated. So based on our scenario, we'll need to select this. For first response, it cannot be repeated. So it is not a repetitive one. So we for first response we it will be it will be selected as uh, cannot be repeated. Then we have threshold code. So for first response, we will need to select first response warning threshold as the threshold code. Then disabled. So this is when we want to inactivate or not in use. So we can do this. Allow due date override. System will calculate the due date based on the coverage that we will be defining. So if we want to override that date, so based on this checkbox for this particular milestone, it will give an option to modify the due date field. Then allow agent completion. So this is uh, this feature allows the agent to complete the milestone uh, by himself. So agent can complete that manually. Then time zone override source. So time zone can be taken from contact, owner, or service request. So whichever is preferred one. So we will need to select that time zone. Then we have start condition and when the milestone need to start, when it should pass, when it should complete. So these are conditions. Ideally, so the starts when will be so whenever service request is started. So there will be some fields enabled here. So you can use those fields. Otherwise, you can also see um, the static conditions, right? Immediate user sends response, new customer entry, any response sent. So immediate means whenever service request is created, this will start. Okay. Then passes when it should pass. So if maybe status is set to waiting, so in that cases we can stop. We can pass the milestone. Okay, something like this. If it is in waiting, right? So we can pass. When it will be completed, this is for first response metric. If we consider this as a first response metric, then we can select the static options. And whenever user agent sends a response to customer, that time, so it automatically it completes the first response. Now we'll take this example directly. So this has first response metric, and it will not be repeated because once the first response is sent, then it will be completed. So that's why we can choose this as cannot be repeated. And uh, here we are choosing the owner's or the time zone source as owner, and starts when is immediate, so that whenever service request is created, it will start. And passes, it is never. So that means there is no pass condition. So once it is created, until it completes, so it will run. Then completion, when user sends response, it will complete. Next, resolution metric for Supremo US business unit is it will start. It will also start immediately when service request is created, and then it will pass when status is one is waiting. So you can choose multiple values here, and then it completes when service request status is set to resolved. Okay, so this is the first step. The second step is we will need to go to subscription management, and then go to subscription configuration, and then here you can see manage availability, standard coverage, and default coverage. Okay, so first we will need to define the calendar. So let's say if you want to create a new calendar, so you can create a new calendar here and then define the calendar name and then start date of calendar and end date, and then availability, all that you can define. Okay, so this calendar is using weekdays 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay, let me duplicate. I'll say this calendar is weekdays 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we can select the time zone here. So I'll take IST time. Okay. So the start date is um let's say I'll take 2025. Okay, 25 Jan to I want only for this year. Okay. And here, if I click on availability, I can add a new availability and then I can select this. So what all days will be working days, okay, and whether it's a regular, limited, extended, closed, 24 hours. So these are different options. So I'm choosing regular, and then I'm giving the day time as 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And in between, I can specify a break. Okay, so that is my 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So if you don't have any break, then you can check this no break option. And if you have multiple breaks, also you can define one more break here. Then click done. And below you can define exceptions. So exceptions is nothing but holiday calendar. So if you go to exceptions, you can see the exception created. So again, here you can duplicate and you can add a new exception calendar to define the leaves. So here for each event, you can select no break. You can just select no break. Okay. So in this case, you can select close it because it is not available, right? Availability, close it, and no break. Okay, so like this, you can select the calendar also. And once this is selected, um, so if you have multiple calendars, you can choose the calendar. So in our case, I'm just selecting the same calendar. Save and then click done. So now our calendar setup is created. Now let's go to standard coverage. So here we have different coverages: gold coverage, bronze coverage, silver coverage. Okay, so I'll take one of the coverage. So even if you want to create new coverage, you can create something like platinum coverage. And then for service request, we need to choose subscription entitlements and then give the start date as uh, I'll give first. And then here we need to go to for actions and add entitlements. So by default, we will have only this channel type, and we need to select what all the the metrics we want. I'm selecting all of these four, and so the default field is service request severity, and in addition to that we have selected channel type. So here we can add the entries, select the severity, okay, and select the calendar that we created, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then give the uh, I'll give 20 minutes, and in 10 minutes I want a reminder, and then resolution metric I am giving only 30 minutes, and in this also I want a reminder in 10 minutes. I'll give 60 minutes, and in 15 minutes I'll I need a reminder or warning. Okay, so this is my calendar. Channel type, so we can choose, otherwise if you leave it, it doesn't consider. Okay, and now I'll click save, save and close. Now platinum coverage is created. Now I'll go to default coverage, and here the for global, right? So it is selected currently as bronze coverage. So I'll select it as platinum coverage. And if you see, there are some customers, New Start Gyms, Pinnacle Technologies, Computers. So these are all uh, the the specific customers. For specific customer, we have selected the silver coverage. For rest of all, earlier it was bronze coverage. So for now, I'm selecting platinum coverage for all the SRs. Save and close. Let me check the date. Okay. So if we don't give end date, so that means it applies forever. Okay. So now I'll go to service requests. So the uh, first response metric is 30 minutes, and resolution metric is 1 hour. Okay, let me quickly check the condition. Okay, severity is high, and then that's the only condition. So I'm choosing severity as high, and business unit is Supremo US business unit. I'm clicking on save and continue. So milestones will take a few seconds to reflect because it checks in the background and then it applies. So in classic UI, simplified UI, there is a tab called milestone details. So from here we can check. So now we can see the first response metric is assigned 20 minutes, right? So we have given as 20 minutes, and resolution metric as 60 minutes, right? So So based on that setup, the first response metric is calculated with the due date, and the time remaining is showing as 19 minutes. And for resolution metric, it is also started immediately because we given 60 minutes, it is showing 59 minutes. Okay. So if you want to see further for more details, so we can click on this and then we can see the details here. So in service request, we can see different filters, all milestones, applicable milestones, cancelled one, completed milestone, incomplete, etc. And we have also two different views, the list view and timeline view. So if we click timeline view, so this is how the view will be. Also, if for any reason the milestones are not applied, so you still have an action called update service request milestones. You can click on that and you can then milestones will be applied. So by default, there will be a profile option that will be set to uh, Y, so to assign milestones on creation of new SR. Okay. So this is how milestones will be used. So now we'll see the same SR in Redwood, how the look will be for milestones. Let me go to Service Center. So we have a subtab subview for milestones. So if you click on this milestones, show all milestones. So we can see the first response metric and resolution metric. And from here, we can see the details. So based on the options that we selected, right, agent completed or and due date modification, this will be enabled based on the service request, the task manage uh, service milestone configuration task. So based on that, these two will be enabled. Okay. So this is how we can use the milestones for service request.